boys.
All right. Cheers, eh?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to be back on another Sunday.
Sunday.
That's it. Hey guys, welcome back. We have some new gear, and we're very excited about that. We got Sam, we got Chris. We're back here, another episode, another podcast of the Broadwater Collective. How you feeling, boys?
Feeling good.
Yeah, feeling pretty fresh.
Feeling good? That's good, man.
And that session we did this morning on the beach was real good.
It was. For those listening and for those watching, we did a mega session on the beach this morning. Sam took us through a bit of a drill, and it wasn't easy.
It was good fun.
It was good fun.
Yeah, nice and crisp. It's a perfect time of year to be out and about.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep going. Don't overheat.
For those of you who watched our last podcast, thank you. For those of you who downloaded it, thank you. We got over 120 views on YouTube and over 50 downloads on Spotify in the first week. So thank you for that. We really appreciate that. We didn't think it was going to get a reception like that. We were just doing this for a bit of fun. So after seeing that, like I said, we went and got some gear, and we're here again on another Sunday. So without further ado, let's jump into it, boys.
Let's go. What are we
I want
to
to start today with esports.
Oh.
Okay, esports. And here's why. I've read some stats that esports is apparently bigger than the NBA and the NFL combined in terms of fans around the world.
Right.
What do you think of that?
Well, is esports, do they endorse League of Legends?
I'm not sure.
Because I do know that League of Legends tournaments now have more engagement than the Super Bowl in America.
I think when we say esports is not the company. Esports
That
is
would be
in general
esports,
just
Any video game.
It's just any video
Any
game.
video game where there's competition and audience. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I mean, it makes sense, man. You look at the generation coming through, they're more inclined to be connected with these complex video games that require a lot of intelligence and discipline to master, and it's a level playing field for anyone. Like, you don't have to be 8 foot tall to qualify to say, well, only I can really train to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a social equalizer. It's not expensive,
True. Yeah.
and if you apply enough time, you've got a chance.
You say it's not expensive. How much gear do you reckon people really need in a computer to do some serious gaming? I mean, you know those guys that build their computers. You see them online with the big LEDs and the massive fans coming through.
Yeah, well,
and all
building
that.
your own computer, I've had a few mates that have done something similar. Around $2,500 Australian dollars would get you something sufficient.
Decent.
But, you know, if you want to get right into it, where do you stop?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
$5,000, $10,000 for sure is possible.
Yeah,
But
it's like buying a very expensive music instrument. You could buy your guitar for $500 from the shop, or you can go and spend $5,000.
Yeah.
And some people might not see the difference, like with computers, but it makes a difference.
That's right.
Especially when you're gaming.
Like, you think of a basketball camp. Oh, sorry, someone who wants to be a professional basketballer. It's the sacrifice required for that. So I guess buying the expensive shoes is one thing, but it's sort of driving to all the different tournaments and potentially going to the camps, and then going to the right schools that will sort of set you up with the right avenues to go pro.
Yeah.
It's such a more restricted avenue where it's like, unless you're an absolute freak from an early age, you're not going to be in the system to have a chance. Whereas video games, it can come from anywhere.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
You can
and
compete on the same stage.
Age restriction as well.
Yeah.
Like,
True. Yeah, gender,
you can just
age.
be, you know, a 12, 13-year-old throwing chat online and make it.
Yeah.
And be earning some ridiculous coin.
Yeah.
And
That's unreal in this
different
day and age.
mental disabilities that mean you're probably not going to be hand-eye coordinated enough for most sports and the like, turn out to be really good on video games. And video games are super diverse in different skill sets and the like. So I can see why it's such a big thing.
And do you think it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger? You know, with
think
COVID,
it will.
obviously.
Yeah.
And now
I think it will.
going out of that. And just going into something that's happening here in Australia, real sport, like the NRL is in serious trouble, like serious financial trouble because of COVID. It might not even be here after COVID.
Yeah.
And yet this whole esports realm is just going insane.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see, because I think NRL is something that is just, it's fairly ingrained in Australian culture. Probably AFL more so.
For sure.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the NRL and if it gets bought out and gets funded by another organisation or company or whoever buys it. But yeah, I definitely want to stay updated with that.
Because like you put the marketing beast behind something like esport, and that's where you see it really take off. And it's quite interesting, like any sport. Like, what are the popular sports? It's the ones that we're kind of told to watch, essentially. You know? Like, you look at the Michael Jordan documentary, and back in the 80s, basketball were competing with men's hockey for the stadium, to use the Chicago Stadium.
Imagine that now.
You couldn't even
comprehend that, yeah.
Couldn't even fathom it.
Yeah.
So it's all just
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it's got a lot more potential than any other sport, I reckon, because of the diversity, the diverse application of it.
And what do you think about the hardware that's being used? Because like obviously you see them now. In some Asian countries, I've seen competitions where they set up the computers on like almost like a stage, and everybody's like there in the audience watching on big screens. At what point does it stop being done while you're sitting down at a computer and actually you got your virtual reality headsets on and you're actually, physically, not just mentally and with your hands in this game? At what point does that take over and that becomes even more
It goes to that sort of limitation interface of two thumbs. And when you eliminate that, you've got endless potential.
Yeah.
So if you can find a way to think something and that then changes what a character does in a game based on what you're thinking, it'll get there.
Yeah.
Because they can map the brain. They know what that thought moves that. They do it with robotics for injured people and the like. We're at the cusp of that technology. That's where it's potentially going to evolve to.
Yeah. It's really interesting because it sort of meshes into... I was looking at a company that's a startup in the UK in London that was looking for some seed funding. And their whole business model was setting up an arcade, but it was a virtual reality arcade. So you basically have these almost pod style things that you go into and you put your stuff on, and there's heat jets and water jets and like all sorts of things in there so it's not just in your headset that you're in this, like the physical surroundings of your body are actually changed. So you feel even more immersed in what's going on. And I thought it was a great concept.
I'm pretty sure it's in the Gold Coast, because I remember like traveling through Europe and thinking, this is a great idea. It's going to take off. Yeah. And then sort of researching a bit, and there was a few companies around Brisbane, Gold Coast.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know
At the same time, it sounds pretty fucking stupid, like those 4D cinemas where they like spray shit on
you. Oh, yeah, but that was...
And then it's like...
That's Gen 1.
Yeah.
That's like Gen 1.
It's just like jumping in a washing machine at home and come out and you're just fucked. Like...
But it's sort of like back to esports,
like the 4D experience.
The whole culture thing. I remember like seeing the first time I saw footage of a stadium of some country in Asia, a stadium full of people watching play video games, and you're just like, that's stupid. What the hell? And then you apply a bit more thought to it, and you're like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, right. I get it.
And like with these pods, where will the development go? Like what will they create? Will they create worlds, like virtual worlds where people can work in these virtual worlds and get paid in these virtual worlds? And then at what point will people want to live more so in the virtual world than the world they're currently living? There's platforms like this being generated in VR.
Yeah.
The quality at the moment isn't there, but I'm sure in 10, 15 years it will get to a state.
People make money off building a currency within a game and selling that currency within a game for money.
Okay, this is something else interesting. Right. Going back to the whole esports thing and the gaming, and this is another company out of London, which was looking for seed money as well. What they do is they are the first company that is actually going to create a marketplace for something like weapons. So in Call of Duty, if you get to a certain point,
you buy virtual weapons.
You buy virtual weapons, but there's only like limited runs of them, right? So in Call of Duty, if you get good enough, you can get a certain type of weapon.
So they limit the supply.
They limit the supply of the weapons.
So it's like a currency, and then people will trade it for more money. It becomes a business.
It's like the limited edition cars that come out. Like they've got limited runs types of cars.
Yeah.
The value skyrockets most of the time, not all the time. It skyrockets. So like if they've created a blockchain technology where within their game and then within other games like COD, because they're designing their system so that someone like COD could hook into this blockchain where the users are buying or getting up to a level where they're receiving these weapons and then they own the IP to that weapon.
Yeah, that's
and nobody
right.
else.
And the blockchain does help
and
with
the
that.
blockchain is what
It
records the
verifies
transactions.
who owns
exactly
what. Yes.
So then I'm a gamer sitting here in Australia and some dude in Germany's got this gun on COD that, oh my god, dude, that gun is so super rare. That's worth like 10 grand, like 10,000 Aussie dollars.
That's
and you
crazy.
can actually create a marketplace and purchase these weapons.
Well, you
to
know
be
where
used.
this goes as well.
That blew my mind when I read about this. I thought, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It
This is
also
gonna be
goes
successful.
into virtual artwork. So there's people at the moment that create virtual artwork. So they put on VR headsets and they splash around paints and colors.
Is that
and,
right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, man.
There's a lot
It's pretty
going on
cool.
I don't know about.
They do.
I need
So
to
that-
clue myself
and
up
then-
on this.
And then that art can then be monetized as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure how you would wrap value to that art. I guess artists will have to build themselves up as brands and labels, and I don't know.
Well, put it this way.
But-
imagine a blockchain technology where you have nothing but a digital frame in your house. An artist in London or New York,
Yeah.
wherever they are.
From the cloud, just goes bus.
Yeah, but you have to pay for the right to use that art in your house.
I reckon that's the future.
Yeah.
Imagine that, because then
Like-
you can have the artwork constantly changing. Oh, hey,
Dude.
I've got the rights to the Picasso
Yeah.
in my house. I don't have a Picasso in my
Your
house.
house turns into fucking Harry Potter Hogwarts.
No, but think about that.
Yeah,
That's
and you
genius.
won't be paying a fortune for a nice view.
No.
You'll just have
This will all become a
square on
screen.
your wall. With a screen.
yeah. That is
Yeah.
pretty cool though,
Yeah.
because
That's the future.
yeah, I think it is, and I know a lot of wealthy people that do like buying artwork. They do like changing up their art supply, and
Yeah.
that
There's only so long you can stare at the same painting.
that's it. They use art as a form of store of value, as we know, but they also like changing up, the way their room's laid out. So having a frame where you could stream a digital piece of artwork that you've bought and you own it, the blockchain says you have it, you have the IP for it.
But not just you. But imagine if that artist could say, right, I'm not going to sell this painting. I'm going to digitalize it, and then people can pay $5 a month for the right to use it in their home.
Yep.
And that's how he makes money.
And then they
Yeah.
can limit
It's
it
like
to
a
say,
subscription service.
Yeah, and you can
There's
limit
only
it to
100,
5, 10, 100
Yeah.
around the world. And then you basically create a marketplace for that digital artwork.
Yeah.
This is a business idea, boys.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
you look
right.
at you look at what they're doing with video games and the amount of art that goes into them. Like, it's beautiful.
Oh,
the
it's-
worlds they
it's- yeah,
create.
it's-
You just
it
get
is.
lost
It
in
is.
So
it.
technically it's the same thing. They've already created the visual.
It's a simpler version of
It's
what's
a,
already
yeah,
there.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
And you see, like, the more interest, the more money that gets pumped into it. Like, have you seen the PlayStation 5 trailer?
No.
I haven't.
It's
but
insane. It's like you're watching a movie.
I was
Really,
shocked
you
when the
can't-
PlayStation 4 trailer
what
came
do you
out.
get with it? What?
Well, it honestly, like, you're watching this CGI
The
created,
graphics is just
and it
next
looks
level.
like a movie. And then you're like, well, of course, like, when you watch a movie these days, most of it is CGI.
CGI.
Well, look what they were able to
generated.
do with Paul Walker at the end of Fast and Furious 7.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Paul Walker. What a legend.
Yeah, R.I.P.G.
Yeah, wow. What they were able to do with that
Yeah.
is it's,
So,
wow.
at what stage do we just not have actors?
Oh yeah, when will that industry come to a head? I think you'll always have that dude in the suit with all those random
Holding a
little.
stick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
You know what I'm
mean.
saying?
But
Like
then
those cotton balls on him just jumping around.
What sells a movie though?
Yeah. But
to me, the actors are the ones that sell the movie.
but the actor ages and dies.
That's true.
So imagine you have a James Bond.
But does that add the
doesn't
value?
age and die?
Does that
Yeah.
add the value
Like,
to like everyone goes, this actor is unreal. It's going to be such a shame when they die.
Yeah, but look at Daniel Craig and James Bond, right?
Mm.
I think he's been a wicked James Bond. I think he's my
Yeah.
favorite. And don't get me wrong, I love the OG James Bond movies. They're all good. Pierce Brosnan was also a really good actor in my opinion.
I need to get
Sean
up to
Connery.
speed on some of those, but yeah.
Him retiring is going to be a big deal, right? But now what we're saying is imagine if you could make a digital version of Daniel Craig and you could play James Bond forever.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be as special, would it?
Yeah, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. I don't think it would mean as much to
It's
the
the-
audience, but it depends. Like how has the like the Asian culture, like Japan and all that, embraced all their cartoons and
It's huge.
That's
everything like that? It's super.
That's true.
It's huge.
Super.
And again, those cartoons aren't around forever. Like, it's the same concept. You do just have, like, this finite element. It could be around forever, but people just don't hold interest for that long. But it's just
Yeah.
easier, cheaper, and you can do your market research and perfect what an actor or actress would be. Whereas these days you're limited by the limitations of humans that are auditioning for these roles.
I'm going to kick myself in the foot here by saying this, but okay, let's look at The Simpsons. It's exactly what we're talking about. They've been around for a long time.
Well,
same cartoon
true.
actors doing the same thing, and
Yeah, well, that's
and I
very
still watch it,
important.
and I still love
Yeah.
it, and so maybe if Daniel Craig played James Bond forever, maybe I'd continue to watch it. I don't know. I suppose it's all about the storyline and the attention span of the watchers and the customers.
I mean, look at the Avengers. How much of that is actually filming a person? And how much of it is a green screen or however they do it these days? And we just think it's all, filmed out in the settings that they're at. But really, it's just 95%.
It would be
computer
interesting to
generated.
go behind the scenes and just watch how they do it. I'm sure there's videos.
Well, there
out
is.
there
There's
on
tons of videos on
platforms.
YouTube and stuff.
But
But you do look at it and you go, wow. But then you're like, well, of course. How else were they supposed to do that?
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
do what they were going to do. In
Well,
real
I
life.
think the next Avatar movie will be
I
the
rewatched that the
telltale
other day.
of, because I reckon that'll be heavily CGI.
How long have
and
they
that'll be the
been making
telltale.
this movie for? It's like, oh yeah, we're going to
Decade.
release it. And it's just
Hopefully it's worth it.
Have they got
I'm
a
excited
date for that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first one was directed by James
You see.
Cameron, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Is the second one also being directed by James Cameron?
I hope so.
I really hope so.
Yeah,
I really hope so because they did a fantastic job on the first one.
They nailed it.
My word.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rewatched it. I need to watch movies twice because the first time I watch a movie, I don't know, I get like stressed about trying to pick what's happening and I don't enjoy
Yeah,
it.
you're trying to think about the
I gotta relax and
upcoming
enjoy it.
events, like what's going to happen
Yeah.
and what's doing. Oh, I think this is going to
Trying
happen.
to follow
and
the
then-
story
Yeah.
and pick what's happening at the end, and then the second time you're just leisurely watching it and you're like, oh, actually that's a great
Unless
movie.
it's
And then you
Inception.
pick up more
I had to
things.
watch that thing
Like
like
5
6
times.
times to
Yeah.
understand what was going on.
Yeah,
That was a great
Inception
film.
is
Yeah.
next level.
That was
It's
a
pretty
good film.
intense.
Yeah. All right, moving on. I also wanted to touch on something that has been in the news recently, and it's about America remaining the dominant player in the global market.
Yeah.
And there are so many factors that go into even thinking about that statement. You're talking about military, you're talking about media, you talk about the wealth,
It's
the
huge,
population, yeah. But if you look at mainstream media at the moment and how they're trying to portray America right now, oh man, are they saying that they've mishandled this whole coronavirus thing? And
Yeah.
what do we think about
Well,
this?
that's where, strangely, the reporting on the coronavirus is political, and everything external from America is anti-Trump. And then when you're in America, it depends on what news you watch. Because I was in America before the elections, and before I went to America, all of the international news was anti-Trump for the elections. And then when I was traveling through America, I couldn't believe it. I was like listening to these radio stations and watching the news and everything and all these pro-Trumps. And it's hypnotizing. And you're like, oh, yeah, that
Started
makes
to
sense.
sway
Yeah,
your
yeah.
That makes
perspective.
sense.
Were you like, oh right, yeah, I would vote for Trump.
Yeah, 100%.
That's crazy.
Based on the radio station I was listening to whilst we were driving around.
That's
Yeah,
madness,
right.
isn't it? How powerful it is.
And they would
They're
just
so
be
effective.
pumping that into
Like,
you.
America is
every
the
station.
marketing
Yeah.
geniuses.
Yeah.
But at what point do people turn around and stop trusting what's going on there?
I think we're already there.
You think we're there?
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
People are
it's an
starting to
interesting
become
point.
conscious of
Well,
what's going on.
Only because, the way Trump's been going on the media, he's making himself look a bit silly, I think.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't helped himself.
He hasn't helped himself.
The China.
The China
virus.
China virus. And
Such
But
a
you're like-
G up that guy.
Yeah.
See so many funny memes about Trump.
you do.
What was the question, though?
The question was just at what point do we think, if ever, is it going to happen again, that America is no longer the dominant global player?
Yeah. It's history. History tells, like, it might take 100 years, but it's going to happen. And China were definitely the emerging powerhouse.
Yeah.
And this coronavirus situation has potentially really stunned that. Or it could be on the flip side and it's accelerated it. But I think the way the rest of the world are going about it, where they're putting the blame to China from an economical perspective and using that to justify, whether it's tariffs or trade bans and the like,
Yeah.
it'll really hinder the Chinese economy and stun their growth a lot. if it's all carried through the way a lot of the leaders of the world are talking about it, where they're like, well, you didn't tell us about it. It costs our economy this, so we're just going to take that from our debt or whatever you own in our country. So
Yeah, well, that's it.
I think, there's definitely going to be a change in power through the future at some stage. It's inevitable, but I think it's going to be more corporate than country. That's the transition we'll probably see. That'll be the next major evolution.
That's a tough one, though, because all the biggest players are in America. They're listed in American exchanges.
For now.
In America.
For
For
now.
now. But huge news this week was Facebook bringing out their own version of eBay, where you can have your own store, sell
Rest
your
in
own
peace,
products.
eBay.
Oh, it's looking that way,
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
It's when I read that, I just went, wow. That's competing with Amazon.
It's big.
That's competing with eBay.
Well, Facebook
Big game
does have to
change.
step up the game to keep in the market. Like Amazon is advancing
Well, I was
in a lot
crazy
of
ways.
I was
arenas.
often
Crazy ways.
I was off them years ago. I just didn't have the app, didn't use it.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's my number one sort of junk feed of I've just got 10 minutes to
Yeah.
just feed junk
Yeah.
and just sort of scroll through. They're nailing the algorithms, like the videos that pop up and everything.
The
Yes.
algorithm with the
really
marketplace really hits. Like I was searching for some stuff a while back, and then I would just keep getting hit after hit of like deals popping up, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
these
yeah.
guys are on fire, but
Yeah.
I'm aware of what you're doing, so I'm just
But even like the entertainment videos that pop up, like things that I find funny, every second video that pops
Yeah,
up, I'm laughing at because it's things that Facebook knows I find funny.
Well, it's because you've watched similar videos for a
for
long
sure.
period of time, and they've tracked
They've
that
got the data.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man, have they
they've
got
found
your
a way
data.
to filter it and make it
Yeah.
more accurate and usable.
Yeah.
And the suggested videos is so much far ahead of what YouTube does.
That's so true. That is so true. I mean, I was using YouTube to upload this very podcast and our vlogs the other day. And the system, YouTube Studio and all that stuff it's quite old.
Yeah.
It's quite dated, just the way the whole process is and the functionality of it and everything. I mean, it's enough. It's definitely enough to use. But when you compare it to, if I'm doing some marketing on Facebook, for example,
Yeah, if I
it's on another level. It's totally different.
if I was like, oh, I'm going to use a marketing platform, I'd be using Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, even when you look through audience insights. So
Yeah.
if you're interested with Facebook, you can go into audience insights and see, areas in the world that mostly look at certain things.
Yeah, X, Y,
and
and
then
Z.
and then it breaks down categories, male, female, age groups.
Yeah.
Where they live,
Yeah.
even what they do, and then it also shows you like most likely TV shows that they watch,
Yeah.
movies they watch,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like this, and
Yeah.
that's just crazy data
It
that
is nuts.
everyone has access to.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But going back to what you were saying about, you don't think the future power of the world is going to be coming from countries. It's going to be coming from corporations. And you can definitely see that with the likes of
And
Amazon and Facebook and stuff getting so
They're
big and so
monsters,
powerful.
and they're not slowing down.
No.
They're just getting bigger.
They're just getting bigger and bigger. At what point do they overtake governments
Yeah.
as the true powerhouse of a country? At what point?
and
They would probably
to
employ
an
more people in the
extent-
government.
To an extent,
Yeah.
like you look at the history of the oil industry
Yeah.
and its influence in politics, and you're like, oh, okay, so if you want to be the president of America, you need this amount of money to run a campaign. It's so corruptible because you're dependent on external
Funding.
sources of money
Yeah.
and large amounts of money coming from companies.
Yeah.
So they've always had a level of influence. Is that enough? Is there a point where they sort of flip a switch and they're no longer like a behind the scenes influence and they're
They are the
front-
face of
And
the
they're on the
influence.
front of it.
Yeah.
On the front
and it's like,
end,
oh, this is Amazon Islands, come and live here and work for us and
Yeah,
you'll have a
yeah.
great life.
Yeah.
Well, man,
Just
America
like
is Amazon Island, bro. Think about it.
yeah.
Think about it. How many people do Amazon
Richard
employ in
Branson,
America?
Virgin
Oh,
Island.
heaps.
Like I said,
Heaps.
probably more than the government.
Yeah, and they'll
probably more
they'll
than
probably do a
government.
better job than a government.
That's a heated topic of discussion.
I think
but yeah.
I think like that is the system is have a board,
Yeah,
a
but
board
yeah.
of directors type
Yeah.
situation.
will the people still be able to have a say in the board?
Well-
Does that mean that the people will be able to vote for who's on the board of Amazon? Like that sounds pretty ridiculous.
You can vote with
Well,
your
they
feet.
do. They already do that. The investors vote
Yeah,
in and
but-
out the board of Amazon.
Yeah, but we're talking about
running a
country.
country. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I suppose. Well, we do the same thing already, to an extent.
But it's like, do I want to live in Google or do I want to live in Amazon? And you just vote with your feet.
When you say it like that.
Go live in the Amazon.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
That'd be
It'd be pretty crazy, man.
another
There's some
experience.
wild
That's the whole.
shit in
That's
the
the whole
Amazon.
thing, though. The crazy thing is, like the whole bullcrap marketing that sells you. This is what you want. This is what you need. Just go spend 3 weeks in the bush, and you're like, oh, I don't need any of that.
Oh,
Well,
any of
this is right, and Facebook pivoting in this direction just shows me what a consumer-based society we have. The fact that they're competing with, Bezos' business, which is on its way to be $1 trillion business, it's all based on consumers just buying crap, really.
Yeah.
Shit you don't need.
Yeah.
Shit you
Yep.
don't need.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Which is
exactly
which is why it's
the
funny
beast,
with
it's
Gary
the beast
V.
of marketing.
Gary V running around doing all these garage sales. It's like he's just picking up Amazon trash.
I love seeing what he does.
It is pretty funny.
Man, we should do something similar.
Yeah, we could.
We
could
should
run around.
we should do a video
What's
and try
Gary
and flip
V?
as many things in 24 hours as we can.
Yeah, that would be
Just to
pretty
show
fun.
that you can do it.
Yeah, we
Oh,
should
yeah.
definitely do that.
We should definitely do that.
Yeah,
we should
because
run
there's
that.
people like me that just put things up for sale, and people ring up and like, I'll give you $2 for it. You're like, just come and grab it. I don't.
Yeah, I'm the same. I
Put it
just
to the
give things
curb.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I moved from Melbourne up to the Gold Coast last year. I had a week to shift all my stuff, and what didn't sell gave away to friends. What I couldn't give away ended up just going in the bin anyway.
Did you feel like you just had a lot of junk that you didn't need, or do you feel like what you threw away was just
Absolutely.
stuff that you could throw?
I think it was just because we live in such a disposable society. Like you go to Kmart, you can get a microwave for $50, and then you use that for 2 years. Man, if you can't get rid of that thing at the other side of your thing, just
Very
just
good
toss
point.
it.
Yeah.
You think of our like great grandparents' generation. Like we don't have a TV repairman anymore.
No, you just buy a new
You just
TV.
buy a new one.
Yeah,
So
Like,
true. The price of TV
the-
seems like it's come down, to be honest.
back in the single
definitely.
The
income
quality you
days,
can get for a cheaper
Yeah.
price.
there was so much more value in like value in the dollar and building a quality product that's going to last. And you know, if you want to buy a fridge, you save for 3 years and then you go and buy a fridge, where now
Yeah,
it's like swipe the card, worry about it later. If it
Yeah.
breaks, get a new one.
Even if I can't afford it, I just whip out Afterpay. And I'll
Yeah,
just-
but we complain about that stuff too, because like back in the day, how good was like everything at home? The fridge was stock sturdy, you know.
Yeah.
Go there, grab a
my
beer for
parents
your old man. And
Still
it's
have
just
a
like,
fridge in the shed
Yeah.
that's
It's just
from
clunky.
like
Yeah.
1950. Like this
Really?
fridge is 100 years old. It's a relic and it still works.
yeah.
Good luck finding a fridge they build today that does that. It's got all computers in it, and as
Well,
soon as the
Yeah, that's it.
3 to 5 years, they're programmed to
Yeah.
break.
To break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at the Apple
Sales.
scandal that just happened with
Yeah.
the iPhones.
Like they're not the only company doing that sort
No,
of stuff.
absolutely not.
Car companies do it. Oh, we'll give you a
Yeah.
5-year warranty on your car. By the way, this is the plastic choke point component that breaks at 5 years.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It'll cost you $800 to go and
They
repair
know,
it.
Such a
man.
rip.
It's like when you take a car to a mechanic.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Man, they'll fix one thing, make sure another thing's broken, you're back in there in 2 months' time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
car companies, isn't that sort of how they, not how they operate like that? That's pretty dirty. Well, some of them probably do, but they make bulk of their money after they've sold the
Service.
vehicle
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
itself.
Yeah.
servicing. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
The margins
Services,
in new
parts,
cars, once
spare
you've paid
parts.
the salesman his commission and shipping and all the other expenses. Don't get me wrong, they probably still make a mint. But the amount of money they make afterwards is insane.
Yeah.
And they'll try and sell you the insurance on top, and the this and the that
Yeah.
and all the extras. And
There's a reason your phone screen breaks relatively easily.
you say that. I've had
Well,
this
then-
sturdy iPhone for so long, dropped it so many times, and it's never broken.
Well,
on
I
me.
reckon there was a
don't know
transition
why. I think
phase.
there's something wrong with it.
No, I reckon. Oh,
it to the
yeah, that's
test.
one of the old ones.
To a test.
Because the new
Yeah.
ones don't break as easily. Because I reckon they've realised people go to other, like little shopping centre repair stations.
Yeah,
and Apple
oh,
weren't
yeah.
actually getting the business,
yeah,
so
yeah.
they roll out an insurance plan. Everyone
Mm.
gets the insurance, and then
Yeah.
they make the phones tough as. Because as soon as I got insurance on my phone, it never broke. I reckon I got 2. They give you the one that you.
Yeah.
Is that Apple Care thing you're talking
Yeah.
about? Like
Yeah, yeah.
insurance? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. But yeah, man, definitely companies are, I think, definitely the future of that. Definitely.
Well,
It's, yeah.
a country as in like taking over as a global power.
I think so. And,
Wow,
and
you just can't discard
you,
it.
you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what's going on with
the amount of money that they have.
Yes.
They could buy countries.
Well,
Well,
I
well-
reckon they definitely have a lot of influence into what's going on.
think about the
regardless.
control. think about the control. Let's look at Bill Gates, for example. Right? Microsoft, what's happening with the ID2020 vision thing, and what they're trying to do with that is make a digital ID for every single person on the planet. There's still 1.1 billion people who don't have a form of ID on the planet. And it's 2020. Who are these people?
That's right.
Like, yes, there might be people living in Africa who, still living in the huts and
don't have access to the modern world.
And hey, maybe it's a choice because, when you think about it, it ain't such a bad life. It's kind of, you'd probably be happier, let's be honest. No marketing to skew your mind.
Well, think about how many people work their whole lives to just go off and buy a bit of property in the hinterlands or whatever.
Yeah.
And have a
so
little hobby
what
farm.
they're trying to do is make a digital ID for every single person on the planet. But if you actually go deep into who's funding this, it's the Microsoft foundations, the Rockefeller foundations, a bunch of other huge companies. I don't see governments backing this.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless I'm completely wrong, and it's quite possible governments do support this. But at what point do the governments say we're handing over control of data of people
to a centralized corporation
by choice? I mean, look at what happened with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg got put on the stand and said, "What the hell's what's going on with people's data? What's going on? What's going on?"
Yeah.
And he basically had to explain what Facebook even was to them. They don't know what's going on. So at what point did the companies come along and say, "Right, we can do this, and we're going to do it, whether you like it or not"? And they suddenly have a lot more information about every single person.
Yeah, they have all your personal data. They'll most likely have medical data as well. And as we saw in Australia, I forget how long ago now, but there was a breach of medical data. There was someone hacked in, and I believe they had access to.
But do you think though? And I mean, I like to see the positives, and I also like to play devil's advocate. And everything that I see, read, it's all about the critical thinking that forms your own opinion. And I don't have an opinion on this yet. This is me just going, okay, I can see the benefits of it, because obviously to get welfare, to get medical support, to get this X, Y, and Z in countries, you need ID.
You do.
You can't go to any of these functions of society without people knowing who you are. You can't just walk into a hospital and get treatment without people knowing who you are.
Yeah.
So I understand the pros and what they're trying to achieve.
The potentials are as potentially positive as they are potentially negative, and it's all really who's steering the ship.
Yeah, well, and in this case, it's corporations.
You can't trust that in a person.
Yeah.
You need it's a great argument for why we have government, and you need a strong governance and ethics board to control all of that. That put in the right priority and sacrifice of security of information and different guidelines of how it's utilized, because it's the potential of it going bad and being used for sort of control and limitation of opportunities for people based on data, and you look at the KBG days of using people's information about people against them to then control this situation over here, and it just sort of gets integrated into this sort of negative control aspects, and it's definitely got its huge red flags, but it's also got a lot of potential to be good, where it ensures everyone is accounted for in a good way. So it's
that's what I think about though when it comes to counting the people, accounting for people on the planet.
Yeah.
Is this maybe a ploy to get those people who are not currently in the economic system supporting these corporations,
knowing who's paying tax and who isn't paying tax?
Well, not just that, but like there's a group of people right now who are basically, there's 1 billion people on the planet not in the system.
That's right.
Okay. Probably
it's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that could potentially be going to these corporations, selling products to these people who aren't currently buying their product. Have they gotten to a point where they have so much control of what's really going on in the world, they're going to fix the rest of them and say, right, let's get everybody else who's not currently sucked into our economic beliefs and our system and capitalism, let's shift them across. And this is possibly a way to do that, to identify those people, get them to think that this is a good thing by saying, oh, well, if you do this, here are the benefits, but also you're now in our system.
It needs.
You're going to get sucked in.
And then when you're in that system, are you vaccinated? Are you not vaccinated?
Yeah.
And then that leads into another realm when these vaccines advance to potentially have nanotechnology in them. and some of them might become compulsory for who knows what reason.
Yeah.
Let's say a coronavirus vaccine,
Yeah.
the China virus.
The China.
You know,
Yeah, it's kind of blowing my mind a bit. Like it needs transparency, but it needs a moral compass. And how do you go about ensuring it has that? Like if it's a couple of corporations team up and implements it and they control everything, you know, the more eyes the better type thing. The more it's shared across, and it's almost like a NATO situation where it's like, well, you get representatives of all the different countries to have input into it and have. There is things in existence around signing documentations of what people can do with data and information, and we just need to ensure that those checks and balances are implemented in these sort of programs if they are rolling them out. But the ultimate question is, what's the agenda? What are you trying to achieve?
That's exactly what I wonder, because like
ultimate control and power.
Well,
would that be it? Like what?
You genuinely don't know what the agenda is of the people who are contributing to these foundations. So like all we're seeing is the foundations themselves, the face of the foundation saying we're backing this.
And they say they're philanthropists.
Yeah, but you don't know who's actually donated to what foundations and for what reason.
That's
for
where the
what agenda
transparency is
is
needed.
Yep. And you know what? You're never going to get that transparency.
Like if I see a name like Bill Gates behind something, I tend to fall to the side of trust and be like, that's a good, clean name that
he seems ethical.
He seems ethical for sure, and it's
some people won't agree with you.
There's a great question. There is a great question, like why the hate, and it's like where there's smoke, there's fire. But I tend to think with the Bill Gates situation, it's very much people have a right to be antitrusting based on history. And of course, when there's a name that big, with the amount of money, the amount of influence in global, political, scientific decisions and the like, people are going to ask questions, rightly so. But I think when you look at it, he's sending a lot of money to places. He'll donate $15 million to an Australian research company, and then he'll follow up with very highly rated scientists to engage with that research company and guide them along certain aspects of getting a good result from that donation. It doesn't seem to be a big, I'm just going to donate here to look good and then do some dodgy stuff over here.
Yeah.
He's done so much over the decades.
He's consistent.
You're going to find mistakes. Like, he might have stuffed up a vaccine over here or there or whatever, and it didn't go as well, but the intention was good.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to like the people want to have a choice, and in a time like this, a lot of people are living in fear, so they're gonna be questioning things a little bit to an extent. So they'll see Gates as coming in as him as a perceived superhero, but then people question what he's doing, and they're like,
people have a heightened sense of fear at the moment because of what's going on.
I think so. So then they're going to go, oh, what is this? What is he putting forward? And I think it is good to question that, because I don't entirely agree with.
It's good to question everything.
With a lot of things, but
question everything. It's like the whole a very similar situations happening here in Australia at the moment with the coronavirus. That app that our government's trying to get us to download onto our phones to see if we've been in contact with anybody back.
Yeah.
I can completely understand the good intention about that, and for people to know and not live in fear that they haven't been in contact with anyone who's had coronavirus.
Yeah.
But I also understand, wow.
Yeah.
I thought of the idea of the app.
Tracking everybody in the country, potentially.
Yeah.
I thought of the idea of the app before it was an idea, and I'm sure many people did. It's not genius. It's kind of like a
flow-on effect of the sequence of events.
But I still jump on the bandwagon of, I'm not downloading that app. Like, what's the hidden agenda with this? And you get a bit hypersensitive, and then you're like, no. Like, if there is an of course agenda type thing, it's like apply the critical thinking. It's like, why do they want you to download the app? And I still haven't downloaded it, but I haven't. I probably will.
And it's not because I'm scared of being tracked by the government, because I got nothing to hide. It's more just because I didn't feel like I needed to. With the coronavirus rates the way they are in Australia, the likelihood is so... I'm happy to take the risk of not knowing if I've been in contact with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the government probably knows everything about you, but there's a big difference between them having the information and you giving them permission for that information.
Yeah.
Like, the whole, I don't do anything illegal, so who cares? It's like, just look at post-World War II Russia and what they would do with information about people and how to manipulate different situations and the potential of discrimination. You know, we were talking before about potentially an employer looking at your data and say, oh, you're actually at risk of a heart attack in 10 years and, you know, you're not going to fulfill your 20-year contract based on a medical condition.
That's right.
Wow. I wasn't here for this conversation. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it really is. Apply some critical thinking towards worst case outcomes of corporations or the wrong people getting your data. And if the government has all your data, how much money have they spent on the security of that data? Like, how often do you hear about it?
Yeah.
And same with corporations. So it's at risk.
I believe private companies would probably have better data security than some governments.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, you think of the risk factor of Facebook, for example. If somebody hacked their servers and stole everyone's data. I mean, apparently it's happened. And it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But imagine if somebody hacked your government.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, the top 10 governments probably have the best security than the next 5 companies or the like, but there's definitely some countries that just wouldn't.
Yeah, some countries
wouldn't
just
stand a chance
wouldn't.
against getting hacked.
Man, the hackers that some countries are producing, wow.
Yeah.
Things that we can't even comprehend that these people can do. I mean, I've seen some AI startups that are just local here in Australia and seen what they can do. Now you got to think, okay, this is available to the public. They can use this. They can see what it's all about. Imagine just what we're not seeing at the moment.
Yeah.
The skills that some people have, what they're developing behind the scenes, and just it's when you think about it in a way where we're coming full circle back to the whole like living in a virtual world where, you know, there could be currency in this and selling weapons and that. At what point does somebody, not a corporation, a hacker, becomes so good and creates such a network that is so embedded in corporations that they could just switch the whole world off? With the click of a button.
I think it's the fear of like a known unknown. We know that AI and technology is going to develop, and the unknown is the outcome of that. What is it going to be, good or is it going to be bad? And I think no matter what, even if there's, like you're saying, a rise of hackers, there's going to be a rise of evil, but there's also going to be a rise of good and people that are smart in the good space, and they're going to be fighting still. So it just depends on how that rises now.
Yeah.
And goes forward, because at the moment there's hackers trying to hack in systems, and some of these systems are good.
But it's really interesting. You see some companies that are like bragging about their security systems. They'll say, right, we've got a reward out for you hackers, 10 grand to whoever can hack our system.
2 weeks, done.
Yeah.
10 grand.
But
they all get hacked.
They do that.
They all get hacked
so that they can improve it.
That's right.
Improve their systems. And I think that's a really good thing.
It's a good way to do it.
Because you're encouraging hackers who are doing it as a hobby rather than really trying to be nasty. They're just trying to flex their brain muscles and show what they can do.
Yeah.
Next minute, that guy who was able to hack has a job at that place defending what he just hacked.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good strategy.
That's genius.
Yeah. But without diving too far down the rabbit hole, we'll let you go on this beautiful Sunday afternoon here on the Broadwater. It's been good, Chris. It's been good, Sam. That's been another episode of the Broadwater Collective and our podcast, and I hope you enjoy it. The audio should be much better on Spotify, much better on YouTube now, so that should be really good for you guys. And please like, subscribe, and keep up the good work, guys. Thanks for just viewing this. We really appreciate it.
Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Yeah. Let us know what you think about what we discuss, and also any other topics that you want discussed or some questions answered.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not the experts, so if you are an expert.
Definitely no experts. Yeah. Definitely no experts. But thanks, guys. We appreciate your time, and we will see you next week for another podcast. See you later.
See you later. Have a good one.
See ya.